I'm excited to speak today. Today, we're going to talk about forgiveness. And here we have the word forgive. The first thing I like to have you think prior to me going in to introduce myself is when you hear the word forgive or forgiveness, what are your initial thoughts? Because at the end of this presentation, I'd like you to reassess that question and see if it has changed at all. So let me go down to the next thing. I'm Eileen Timmins. I have a PhD. I'm an executive coach, a life coach, and a leadership development expert. My day job is supporting HR in a global technology organization. But my wonderful passion is being an author. I've wrote books, an artist, I've paint, and built labyrinths. I'm a guest and a public speaker, and I do that portion, the speaking, um, pro bono. And the reason is because I have such a deep passion for forgiveness. I'm also a co-host with a very good friend of mine on the Soul of a Leader podcast. All platforms, and we have over 105 episodes out there. And what that is people come on board and they talk about their leadership and how their servant leadership style impacts the world in many different ways. You can see I have my own website. It's angeline.com, and my email is angeline@gmail. Angeline means little angel in Gaelic, and I am an Irish citizen and also a US citizen. So I look forward to moving forward to try to sprinkle seeds of forgiveness and so that you can learn more about forgiveness. So, forgiveness is first and foremost a personal journey. It's like a process, a labyrinth with no set rules or time limits. It's not dependent on faith, and often it's as mysterious as love. Now, this is the picture of the labyrinth that I built on my sister's farm, and my great niece is walking it. It's one of the first labyrinths in the Midwest that has a ramp so people who are in wheelchairs or walkers can enjoy and participate in the labyrinth. A labyrinth is a journey of ins and outs, and it's supposed to mimic our life journey. We are not on this planet to just be full of rainbows and unicorns. We do have to grow and we do have to expand. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how forgiveness for yourself is a present and how you can expand your knowledge and wisdom. So, Arlene was telling me that not a while ago you had an event where you talked about the Asian Hawaiian practice of forgiveness, the functions both as a communication concept and reconciliation tool for restoring self-love and balance. And this is a prayer that they say, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And you say that affirmation many times, you'll feel a release. And this is such a belief in the Hawaiian culture. And I wanted to bring that forward because I understand that that was one of your sessions earlier, and to remind you of that as we go through this session. So, how and why am I a big proponent of forgiveness? Well, I held on to a lot of hurts that myself caused and other people harmed me. And I had to go through an experience, which I'll share next, that shifted my life. And I figured out what true forgiveness was, and then finally an awakening. And this is a quote that I live by that makes me get through some tough times and helped me get through some terrible incidents in the past. The wound is a place where the light enters you. And you can either be staying in that wound and not let the light in, or you can let the light in and move forward. And forgiveness is about letting the light in. If you don't forgive, it's like a fist. You're holding on to one hurt, the initial hurt, and then you have another hurt on top of it, which is you holding on to it. When you open it up and let the light in, you are eager to receive. And that's what we're going to talk about. Now, it wasn't easy. It took me a long time. So I needed to make a life-changing decision. Uh, what happened, I'll share one of my self-forgiveness. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was in hospice. And I received a call to come and see her. I lived 4 hours away by driving, and I said, okay, I'll leave later. Well, I didn't make it. I didn't make it. That waiting a half hour, 45 minutes didn't make it to see my mom at her bedside. And I had to live with that decision. So for many, many years, I had that decision of shame and upsetness of not being there, plus many other things that happened in my life earlier that I held on. Well, I then experienced the same dis-ease as my mother did 5 years after her passing and experienced breast cancer. And when I say dis-ease, it's because I believe I was not at ease, okay, from not forgiving myself, forgiving others, and holding on to other hurts. And during this, if you are holding on to that anger or holding on to that resentment, it does change your immunity. There's so many studies out there, medical journals that says if you hold on to anger, blood pressure, diabetes, your immunity system will go down. It can shift your body. And I believe my body was at dis-ease from years of not forgiving and for not forgiving myself. So I had to make a shift. So I didn't understand what true forgiveness was until I was diagnosed with that disease. It was in 2010. And during my treatments, my many treatments, I had a voice that keeps saying, forgive, 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 forgive others, forgive yourself, and ask for forgiveness. Forgive others, forgive, forgive. So I wrote notes down, many, 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 many notes. And from those notes, in 2012, I wrote a book called The Forgiveness Fairy, and it shares the journey of how you can walk through forgiveness. I did much research to help get to this point. But as I said earlier, by not releasing the second hurts, it does more damage to your well-being. So with that, sometimes your comfort zone is the smaller circle. Where the magic begins is when you have to do the work. And that magic, getting there was hard, but I wouldn't change anything that I went through to be where I'm at today. I feel so blessed and happy, and being able to share a message that came to me that research backs that forgiveness in everyday life is such a journey, and it can help you experience joy. So you have the power to make the choice. The way you look at things can change if you look at them differently, right? And you also look at yourself. And we're going to talk about a mirror exercise and a little later that you can do. But if you look at yourself and say, do I want to continue holding on to this hurt and maybe risk my own life and be a disease? Or do I want to let it go? And I'm not saying if there was wrongs, you think that was okay. It's about letting go, holding on. That happened. I forgive myself. I forgive them, but I will not allow it again. And I may have to cut communication off with that person for the rest of their life. And I wish them well. And that's what I had to do. So it will occur either if you accept it and love yourself enough to forgive. I shut it out for a long time and it became a disease. So this is an idea of a law of forgiveness. States, and this is out there, I've researched it, that you are mentally healthy to the degree that you can freely forgive and forget grievances against you. Now, forget means they're not in the forefront. It doesn't mean you don't learn from them, okay? And you can achieve emotional and spiritual well-being. And this is where it goes back to this physical illness and stress. So, to forgive is the highest, most powerful form of love. In return, you will receive untold peace and happiness. So these are my 5 ways, and it's in my book, Forgiveness Fairy, to understand your actions, resolve the change, right the wrong, apologize, and heal the damage. This can be used for yourself too. We all are so hard on ourselves many times, and I'll talk about that shortly. You know what? We're human. We're not human perfect. We're humankind. Okay. We're human beings. We are being. We're just not perfect. Okay. And to forgive yourself and others, you will understand that. So, to learn how to forgive yourself and heal what's broken inside, you're going to have to use different processes, right? As I said earlier, it's going to take time. You could try different things. These are some of the things that I did. I journaled. Oh, I journaled. I prayed, right? I walked the labyrinth. I live in Chicago, and there's one off of Michigan Avenue. It's beautiful. During my treatments at Northwestern University Hospital, I walked it when I could, when I was feeling healthy. It helped process a lot off of me. I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to a person who harmed me, and I put it in the mail, and I just put the person's name, put it in, and it went somewhere in the mail. But I'll tell you, I didn't put the address, I just put the name, and it was such a relief. So I came up with different ways how to do this. I participated in a drum circle. I paint now. I paint hearts, I paint angels, and they're out there, and the proceeds go to my nonprofit I started. Exercising, and always, always understand you can talk to somebody. Talk to anybody, a professional, a family member, maybe a support group too, right? Someone who may have gone through, you know, things like you did, right? I talked to somebody, and now people, when I talk, they talk to me, and I help them, coach them through it, what forgiveness may be. So, the most important thing is to remember what true forgiveness is and fake forgiveness. This is very, very hard to do. You might say, oh, to an old friend of mine or something, I forgive her. I forgive her. Right. But then when you see her next, you go, I don't want to do anything. That's not true forgiveness. That's fake forgiveness. True forgiveness is permanent. It's unconditional. You state the past is over. It's inspired by love for yourself and humankind as a whole. We know we're not perfect, and it does take time. Fake forgiveness is temporary, conditional, and the past is ongoing. It's you could be in the victim mode and say, "You remember when so and so did this? Do you remember when so and so did that?" You you let it go. You don't want to waste those words anymore. You don't want to waste the energy that you have every day. You wake up with only a certain amount of energy. How much do you want to do to give it to that person still? Right? And it's anger too. It's motivated by fear and anger. So I put a quote here: true forgiveness is a self-healing process which starts with you and gradually exists to everyone else. I can tell you this: start small. If you start small with forgiving little things, when something big comes, you'll have the behavior and the patterns developed to help you move through it. May not be easy, it may take time, but it'll go to that true forgiveness. So today, when we talk a little bit later, I'm going to ask you to think of something little that you could forgive and use this definition. So forgiveness, as I said earlier, it does not excuse the behavior. Forgiveness releases the hurt from the behavior so against you so that you may move forward. This is a perfect quote. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison yourself and wanting it for the other person to die. Some people who harm you or hurt you intentionally don't even care if you forgive them or not. And they might just keep doing it, right, to other people. But why keep holding on to that for yourself? So why is it hard to practice self-forgiveness? As humans, many times, and women especially, the study has shown, we put other people first. We're perfectionists. If we make a mistake, we're hard on ourselves and we may shame ourselves. It's hard to say no. Women are sometimes people pleasers. And I can tell you, all of this up here was me before I had to set boundaries and breathe on my own because it was a life or death situation that I was dealing with to get rid of my dis-ease. We overall analyze. Sometimes self-esteem is, you know, proven by a checklist. Oh, I did this, the amount of tasks we did. And then obviously, so many people, men and women, are hard on themselves about body image, right? Oh gosh, my thighs are really big. How am I going to work out harder? How am I going to do this, right? How can I forgive myself for doing this? Eating something, it'll make my thighs big. Let it go. I can say every day I wake up and I thank the universe, God, whoever you believe in, that I'm here, I have healthy cells, and I love the body I have. It wasn't always that easy. But when you can wake up and you can breathe and you are here, when some of the people, and you're in the healthcare industry, see what they've gone through, forgiveness is a way for you to move forward. So this is absolutely an interesting chart. It is called Map of Consciousness. It's David R. Hawkins' Power versus Force. It's a book. If you see this, you'll see that high level words have high level frequencies. These align to cellular levels in this book. So if you're in fear or guilt or shame or, you know, anger, your frequency is lower and it impacts your body's cellular structure. So I try to stay up here, right? Understanding wise, everybody is on this earth doing as much as they can with the information they have. And if you can stay in that level, your health will be, at least you let go of that anger, right? So this is a book, Power versus Force. It's very interesting. It's very scientific. And I wanted to share this grid because emotions do count towards health. So why wait? You have the power to forgive. The grace inside will begin to heal. It is your choice. You can release it and become at ease. I observe family members and good friends who have passed or they're in hospice. And at the end, all they want to do is to say, I forgive you, or please tell someone I forgive them. And will you please forgive me? I always say, why wait? Why wait till then? Do it now. Do it now. You'll be at peace. So, it may be easier to forgive others, right? By forgiving yourself. If you start with that, the weight is lifting and you can bring your best self to everybody, right? If you start forgiving. And again, start small. Start small, right? Somebody makes a mistake, you know, I don't know, at your community center or wherever. And instead of getting angry, going, oh, she messed up again, just say, okay, I forgive her and move on. So it takes great strength to forgive. It's a present to yourself. Remember, it's a present to yourself. Releasing, here's the initial hurt, here's holding on. Release that, and you are giving a present. So there's many areas that you can get support. One has a ton of online support is the International Forgiveness Institute. They are at the University of Wisconsin. They do classes all around the world, have curriculums on their websites, etc. The Forgiveness Project is an award-winning secular organization that collects and shares stories of forgiveness. And some of these stories are horrendous. And to see another human being, and I've got goosebumps because I've seen some of these stories, forgive is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So to help you through your journey, you can reach out and go to these these support areas to see if they could help you move forward on forgiving and have role models to support you in forgiving. So I know we're getting close to the end. This was a quick exercise. I don't know if you want to take a picture of your phone, but I have a handout that I'm giving on forgiveness. An article I wrote, and my book cover is on the article. But what you can do is look in the mirror, and that's a mirror, and say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And the first time I did this, tears tears came streaming down my eyes. I had to forgive myself for not being there when my mom passed. That's a decision that will live with me for the rest of my life. So do the mirror work, grow, and give a presence to yourself to forgive. So I'd like to leave you with this. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit priest in France many years ago in the early 1900s. And this is my quote. Someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God or the universe or whoever you believe in the energies of love. Then, for the second time in history of the world, man will have discovered fire. Forgiving is loving yourself. Forgiving is being the human being you should be for yourself. And in the end, if you can't forgive, this is from a quote from the Best Exotic Miracle Hotel. All we know about the future that it'll be different, but perhaps what we fear is that it will be the same. So we must celebrate change because everything will be all right at the end. And if it's not all right, then it's not the end yet. You still have work to do. So this is me. You can contact me on my website. That's the Forgiveness Fairy book. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. I also have a TEDx out there on self-forgiveness, has over 300,000 views. And that's me and my good friend, Dr. Alicia Strouder. And we do this free, the Soul of the Leader podcast, and we have a nonprofit called Soul of the Leader Institute, where we share leadership curriculums with underprivileged areas. So feel free, if you have any questions about the presentation or need support on forgiveness, I'm here. And if you'd like me to speak at other community events or anything, I'm here. I do this free, I do it pro bono, and I just want to plant the seeds of how to forgive in this world. So any questions, please go ahead.
Eileen, I got one question for you.
Sure.
Is there any relationship between or correlation between saying I am sorry or receiving the statement I am sorry from others before or after forgiveness?
No, I can tell you this. Some people, you can say, um, if you ask for forgiveness and they go, I am sorry, or you say, I'm sorry, some people will go, thank you, I forgive you. And other people might say, I'm not ready yet, right? But you've done the olive branch, so you can say, I'm sorry. You can say, the other one that I use is, would you please forgive me? Because what that changes, instead of I'm sorry, meaning me, you are asking that person, will you please forgive me? And that opens a door. Will you please forgive me? Right? Instead of I'm sorry, where I'm sorry, you're owning it, right? Saying, I'm sorry. So another word I would say is, would you please forgive me? I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you.
And if you have any questions, I have my email here. Take a screenshot, my website. I'm willing to talk to you on the side. I do forgiveness coaching, I do life coaching, executive coaching. And I hope you walk out of here, like what I said at the beginning, with the word forgiveness. Has that definition changed after this presentation?
Eileen, one last question.
Mhm.
What what could be a good positive trigger so that we can start forgiveness as a habit and continue to remember it in our daily life?
Well, it's very easy, I always say, when you're looking at not forgiving yourself or others, right? Realize there's a time that you probably acted where someone had to forgive you, right? We're all not perfect. And just remember, you may have to step back and breathe and go through, let me go back, go through those steps, right, that I had at the beginning of think about it, right the wrong, the change, and keep those in your forefront, right? Another thing is I have a deck, values deck cards that we did for Soul of a Leader. And one of them, you could pull it up and just put forgiveness, and every morning have that attention of forgiveness or integrity or harmony, right? Put that in your forefront every morning to wake up and think something positive and walk through the steps that I shared. And the steps are in the book too. And the book is to be used as a tool to read yourself and then be passed on to someone else. And I do have like a stuffed animal, well, not a stuffed animal, a stuffed fairy that I align to this as it's like Elf on a Shelf. Like you can share the stuffed fairy to someone in your family if they're children and say, or even adults, please forgive me. And then it's that action. I hope I answered the question there, Harvey.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Eileen. This has been a very, very joyful for me presentation because I learned a lot, and it's an optimistic presentation as well, and
Great.
something that we need to remember as we, travel in our life, professional and personal life.
Exactly. You take that labyrinth, you're going to need this. So thank you, everybody.